It's Australia Overnight, heard through 2CC in Canberra, Sydney's 2UE, 3AW Melbourne, 3YB, a lovely Warrnambool, Mackay's 4MK, maybe Cairns 4CA, Alice Springs 8HA, 2UE Sydney, 4BC Brisbane, wherever you're listening from. Let's join Mr. Nic Hayes, the wild man of the West. Good morning to you, Nic.
Good morning, Andrew, and welcome back. It's good to hear you back on the radio again.
Thank you very much, Nic. Yes, it's nice to have a couple of weeks off. How was your week in Bali?
Oh, lovely week in Bali. It was gorgeous, beautiful weather, not too much rain, and not too hot. It was just lovely.
Not too steamy?
No, it was just perfect weather. It was great for the kids, great for everyone else. It was just awesome. It's just before the rainy season, so I think we just got in just before all of that happened.
You made a comment to me a few weeks ago now that going to Bali for a West Australian is really like just popping, up the road a bit. It's so true. I've got a wife who's originally West Australian, the whole family, and she's got cousins and that who just slip back and forth to Bali, as you said, almost like taking a bus ride.
It's quicker to get there than it is to get to Melbourne, and quite frankly, it's a lot cheaper than going down south. So it's got everything going for it, and and it's never been safer. It's just a gorgeous country, and they look after you.
They do, indeed. All right, now we're going to be slightly self-indulgent this morning as far as Mr. Nic Hayes is concerned, because we're going to get a bit of a background on you and actually what you do. People say, oh, he's our media man on Australia Overnight, but what actually is he all about? Well, this is where we get to find out. So, Nic, you run a company called The Media Stable, don't you?
I do. It's an online site. There's nothing really much to it. There's only 4 employees that look after the Media Stable, but the Media Stable's all about looking for experts and looking for commentators and opinion makers. Now, the reason I wanted to have a quick chat to you about this, Andrew, is not just a complete self-indulgence, but one, because experts and commentators are a big part of the media cycle. We always look to go to them to get their opinion, to get their point of view, and then we head down to the talkback aspect to get their point of view as well. And it starts conversation and it gets people talking. And I suppose the whole thing about finding the experts is actually finding the right ones, because there's a lot of media out there that are under pressure to find the right kind of people, and it's not always easy to find the expert, particularly of fields in social media.
Well, might I interpose and say the expert who can communicate too?
Look, it's so important, and especially in today's world, and I'm even a little bit frightful for the future, where communication is the art of it seems to have been lost, and seems to be lost in the younger generations. But look, there is hope. There's hope for everyone there. But the expert has to be able to deliver. And if they cannot deliver, or at least talk to their target audience, the demographic that is either on a print or radio or in television, they need to be able to deliver. And if they can't do that, they're not going to be much of an expert.
Are they everywhere, experts? Can you find an expert? Have you unearthed a few in your time?
Look, it's a day-to-day thing that we do, and we unearth them every single day. There are experts from every different field.
Really?
Yeah, look, they're everywhere. I mean, even the listeners, their friends, their family, their colleagues, potentially there's an expert amongst them. And an expert's pretty simple. An expert is someone who's got experience, knowledge and commitment. And if they carry all those, they could be and potentially be part of the Media Stable.
And this is what your company does. It represents these people. Is that right?
Exactly. It represents them. Basically what we do is we put them forward and the media consumes them. So the media's got free access to this online directory. And in the days of, and still today, Mark will be sitting there with his little black book, and when it's time to go away and find an expert in technology, he'll have a list of people that he'll go to. And I guess the number one question was always asked of all of us, that especially in the public relations, how do you become that expert? How is it and why is it they always go to that one person all the time? Well, the reason they do it is they either, one, have a relationship with them, two, they're really good communicators and can deliver everything that they're after, or it's just the fact that they're really the standouts amongst their industry, and they're the people we should be going to.
What do you find is there a need for what fields are most required for experts?
Look, health is probably the number one field. And health can vary from everything from osteopaths, chiropractors, right through to psychologists and physiotherapists. That is an area there, I think, that most people, because that's a question and something that's pretty close to our home and to our heart, we're always asking those questions. So when a talkback caller rings in and says, look, I really need some help with this, the health sector is probably one area that is highly used. The other area is finance and also to law. And law can be broken down into about 16 different categories, whether it be family law all the way through to consumer law. It's quite a large area. But experts, if they can answer your questions, they can solve a lot of problems, and particularly in talkback radio, it's a great way to engage, and it's a great way for them to also get a lot out of it, because it's not just them talking to the people out there that are listening right now. They could actually mention to their friends or their friends of friends, and that's how they end up going away and do it, because a lot of these experts, they do it for nothing, and they do it just so that they can be the ones that the media go to for expert comment.
Yes, it raises their profile, and that obviously benefits them at times too.
Absolutely.
Now, how many experts would you have in your pool at the media stable, Nic?
Well, we're only a company that's been around for 18 months, so we are just over 180 experts. I guess when we're fully subscribed right across the country, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide and Perth, there'll be around 2,000 experts that will be sitting in the media stable, and they'll be across over 55 different sectors.
That's amazing. So there must be a wide range of subjects well beyond health, medicine and finance there, really, if you've got 2,000. What sort of arcane territory do you cover with your experts?
Oh, look, I've got mountaineers in the media stable, people that have climbed Mount Everest, inspirational speakers, business coaches. We've got people that have done simply just quite amazing things and are quite keen to continue to push their messages out, and also to be ready to call on when the media is wanting them. But it's just something that's interesting. People that have got something to say, they've got an opinion, and that's important, Andrew. They've got to have an opinion, because if you don't have an opinion, you really can't be a commentator.
Not really, no. The media and the public expect some sort of stance on a subject, don't they, from an expert? I
think with any expert, whether you're right or wrong, as long as they can back it up with some sort of evidence and they can have an argument. It's a bit like a lawyer, if you like, when they go into court. You've got to argue, and if you're arguing, you're there, you're present, and that's pretty much what the experts are there to do. I've said this before, Andrew. For every report that you give me that says in the positive, I'll give you another report that will say it in the negative, because there's all different points of view on all matters. And we're a funny old lot, us human beings. Some of us will sit on the left, some will sit on the right, and a lot of us will sit right in the middle. But there's always a report going either way.
Yes, it's true.
There'll always be someone that'll have something to say either way.
Well, just for example, how did you source your mountaineer? I mean, how did he come to be a part of the media stable, for example?
Well, that's a funny story. I mean, he's actually a guy that is fairly well known over here in the West, and he was one of the first guys to climb unassisted to the Mount Everest, and as a public speaker, he was doing lots of rounds. And one of his colleagues had said, "Look, go and have a look at the media stable. They'll be able to put you in a place where no one else is going to see you. Media will have free access to you, and it'll be something that the media can get inspired by to actually contact you." So it was one of his colleagues. We don't advertise. We don't put anything out there. It's pretty much word of mouth. But I guess in one way this is a bit of an advertisement, but not paid for or anything like that. It's a one way that we could look at it. But no, he was advised to go down that path, because his business is public speaking now, and he gets paid for all the interviews and all the things that he goes away and does now. But he's got to have a higher profile, and the higher profile he has, the more money he gets paid. So it was a lay down misère for him. He just saw that as an opportunity to be out there more, and he probably didn't want to go down the public relations platform. He didn't want to go down and pay a public relations person to support, because he could actually really sell himself better than anyone else could.
Well, he knows his stuff, of course. Nic, I always have found the words of Barry Cassidy, you would know through ABC News, the man who has the 9 o'clock program on a Sunday morning, The Insiders, are always very wise and I find rather balanced, not entirely balanced, but rather balanced. And I hear him being used by commercial radio and TV from time to time. Obviously, he's got a very loose arrangement with the ABC where he's able to do that. And I guess your experts would have those kind of loose ties with certain organisations.
Certainly do, and some of them are very much locked in. They might be with the Fairfax Network, they might be with the Southern Cross Off Stereo Network, they might be with a few others. But look, only those that I guess can use and actually demonstrate and put it out to other networks and are interested in getting other media arrangements, because some are locked in, some are the preferred suppliers. I mean, the one I like the most and has seen on this network, Peter Ford, the entertainment reporter, I mean, he has got wide likability across many
mediums,
and the Fairfax Network I know uses him quite a lot, but he also appears on television, he also appears in the newspapers. It's something there that he does and makes a living out of. And Barry Cassidy, I think, is probably one of the great brains there when it comes to politics and also to a lesser degree sport.
Sport too, yes.
He's got that ability to do that, and they make those arrangements, especially if they've got wide appeal.
Some of the people you are fans of in the expert field from your media stable or outside of your media stable too? Well,
there's a young fellow that's going to be coming on 3AW a little later this morning, and his name's Peter Maher. He's my old boss, and he's probably one of the great opinions I've always enjoyed listening to. I had to listen to them when I was an employee of his, but I still continue to enjoy listening to what he has to say outside of his employment. Todd Sampson. Now, if the listeners out there don't know who Todd Sampson is, you might watch the Gruen Transfer, or you might be a fan of The Project. He's quite often put on there, but he's the advertising expert, and I think he is just one of the great brains when it comes to that. He's just got wonderful insights, and I love listening to what he has to say. But I guess my absolute favourite is Dr. Tim Flannery. I think his environmental and what he has done for the environment look and view is just quite amazing, and he's just got a wonderful way of delivering it, and I thoroughly enjoy listening to him. I'd love to know what the listeners, who they love listening to, that are not the regular presenters, that are not the people that are there day to day, but are the ones that are asked to come on for expert opinion, who they think.
Hey, you know what I think is great about Tim Flannery, and I don't really agree with a lot of his opinions, but he was prepared to go on Andrew Bolt's program. Talk about walking into the lion's den, and he accounted for himself quite well, I thought, despite the atmosphere.
What it all comes down to is Dr. Tim Flannery is one of the brightest blokes going around. Andrew Bolt, I'm not going to suggest one way or another what he's...
I have a feeling what you might be thinking of him.
Well,
anyway.
Look, he can handle himself. We all know the way that Andrew Bolt was going to go, and Dr. Tim Flannery, well, I can tell you he's a very intelligent fellow and can handle that. What I love about Dr. Tim Flannery is that even with this new government and their closure of the group that they put together there to protect the environment, they're going out on their own to do it now. So it'll actually be. It'll be privately funded.
That's right, he's raising funds, yes. I believe he's doing quite well too.
Yeah, and that to me is, he not only believes what he doesn't just only believe in his convictions there, he'll stand up and he'll put them out there and he'll say, look, hey, have a listen. What I've got to say is important. Come along on the journey with me if you like.
Very interesting to hear about your background and just what actually you do. It's a fascinating world, it's a little microcosm of the media itself. Thank you very much, Nic.
Good on you, Andrew. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
Yes, indeed. Nic Hayes, our media man. And speaking of Timothy's...